Hello and welcome to Magic and Mystic, where we talk about anything that's magic, spooky, and of course, mystical.
We are your hosts, Alana,
And Agatha.
and today I will be taking you on a journey to Sherwood Forest to discuss Robin Hood and the legends behind that. And we'll also go into depth about what crystals we think align with today's topic.
And I will tell you a story that I think aligns well with today's topic and tell you what tarot cards are trying to tell us.
So, how have you been this week?
Not too bad. We just got what?
You just got what?
We just had our bank holiday weekend, 4 days off, which was amazing. I didn't really do much, to be honest.
To be fair, all I did was gardening.
I did gaming most of it.
What games?
We tried Phasmophobia, which is a game where you're in a haunted house trying to find evidence of a ghost.
Is it one of them scary ones that have a lot of jump scares?
Not jump scares so much, but when you wear your headphones, you can literally hear them whispering in your ear and stuff.
That's really creepy. I won't be able to play it like that. I scare far too easily.
I can't play it. I played it once and I was like, no, you know what? No, I'm fine without it. I like spooky stuff, but that's a bit too much for me.
Well, I put my sweet peas outside. So I started growing them in January. And
Yeah.
now they are monstrously tall. They are really, really tall. So I'm like, I think the frost, I feel like the frost is over. So I put them outside. I made a little trellis thing so they can climb up. So I really hope they survive the next couple of weeks. If not, I'll be so sad.
They should do. Wednesday's going to be 21 degrees.
Really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Just like for context, the last few weeks I've been hailstoning, I've been freezing, but just suddenly Wednesday, just 21 degrees.
I suppose it's the great British weather.
Yeah. It's going to be hailstoning on Saturday again. I can see it.
Well, I actually have a present for you.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, so here.
Thank you. What's that?
It is an oak tree. So it's a baby oak tree. That's why there's only like 4 leaves on it. So earlier this year, I went to Sherwood Forest and there were a load of acorns on the floor and stuff like that. So I just ended up taking a little few, putting them in a pot. Didn't think they were all going to sprout. And they have. They've all gone crazy.
You're a mother.
I'm a mother of oak trees. So I've given you one, and I've got one in the back garden, and I've been very creative, and I've named it Oak.
Amazing.
That sounded so thingy.
You should have named it Oakley.
You can name yours Oakley.
I will name mine Oakley.
But did you know that apparently oak trees don't actually start producing acorns till they're like 40?
Yeah, they have to be fully mature, don't they?
They can live for ages as well. Like
Hell
300 years.
Jesus.
I know.
I did not know that.
So I think they're going to outlive me and you. That's a bit depressing.
Oh, carve our initials into it. Oh,
A and A. Okay, so do you want me to start telling you the story of Robin Hood?
Hell yeah. Just for context, I've never actually seen Robin Hood. I know the basics of the story, but I've never seen it, read it. Yeah.
Have you not?
Nope.
I grew up on this movie, right? And it was Robin Hood, but it was where they were all foxes or animals.
Oh, I did see images of that, but never seen it.
I used to watch that all the time at my grandparents' house.
Oh.
It was one of my favourite movies.
That's actually cute.
So, we are going to watch that at some point. I'm going to make you sit down and watch it with me.
Definitely, I'm up for that.
Okay, so to get into today's story, The Boy and the Forest. Long before he became an outlaw, Robin was said to have been a young man living on the edge of the Great Sherwood Forest. A vast forest of ancient oak trees, thick moss, winding streams, and hidden clearings. The forest stretched for miles, a place where kings hunted deers and peasants gathered wood and berries to survive. Robin grew up amongst the trees. Some stories say he was a noble son who had fallen out of favour, while others say he was simply a son of the forest. But every version agrees on one thing: Robin had a natural gift with a bow. By the time he was a young man, he could split a branch from 50 paces away.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? He could strike a moving target while running through the trees. The bow felt like an extension of his arm. That's what they say. The forest was clearly his home. But England at the time was a hard place for the poor people. Taxes were heavy, food was scarce, and the local rulers often cared more about their own wealth than the suffering of the ordinary people.
Yeah, seems about right.
So if you were a peasant back in that day, you had it really rough.
Yeah.
So the person that ruled over Sherwood Forest and around that local area was the Sheriff of Nottingham. And he actually introduced some really harsh laws.
Right.
So peasants were taxed for their crops, and hunters were punished for killing the king's deer.
Oh, what?
So the forest that once had been open land where anybody could do what they pleased there was now declared as royal property, meaning that anyone caught hunting deers could face prison or worse.
Oh, wow.
I know. To starving families, this law felt cruel.
Yeah.
Deers roamed everywhere in the forest, yet people were forbidden from touching them. And Robin Hood couldn't stand it.
Oh, yeah.
Which, how awful must that be? You're absolutely starving, but there's all this food everywhere around you, but you're not allowed to touch it.
Was it when we went to Scotland and we went to the Queen Mary's prison? I don't know. There was an abandoned prison that we went to. Not an abandoned, an old prison. And they said that people were arrested for stealing potatoes and stuff because they were starving.
It was really poor
It was
in England,
really
wasn't it,
bad.
around that time?
Yeah.
Like, if you were wealthy, you were well off, but if you were poor, you were.
So, how did Robin Hood come about then? How did it start?
So, the story of how Robin Hood came to be an outlaw changes depending on the teller and which source you get it from. But the most famous version, do you want me to tell you that? The most famous one?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So one day, whilst practicing his archery in the woods, Robin encountered a royal forester, one of the king's men who guarded the deer. Words were exchanged, insults were thrown. The forester mocked Robin, saying he was not skilled enough to hit a distant deer. Robin Hood, who was proud and confident of his skills, accepted the challenge. He raised his bow, drew the string tight, and released the arrow. The deer fell instantly, but the forester had tricked him. Killing the king's deer was crime. When the forester tried to arrest him, the situation turned violent. In the struggle that followed, Robin killed the forester. We're not sure whether that was accidentally or on purpose.
Right.
So, with that single moment, Robin Hood's life changed forever. He was now declared an outlaw, and anybody could kill him without punishment.
That's rough. So, is a question. Do you think it's based somewhat on a true story, or do you think it's all, I guess, made up?
I feel like it is based on a true story.
Yeah.
I feel like with how poor England used to be at that time, obviously people would go out and they would hurt each other and kill each other because you do it to protect your family, to feed your family, like if you felt like you had no other choice. But I do feel like in some sense Robin Hood was real.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I feel like there may have been someone that they roughly based it off of.
Well, they say there's no fire without a spark.
Oh yeah.
But do not worry, because Robin Hood was not lonely.
Okay.
He had friends.
He had friends.
He did. So, amongst Robin Hood's companions, there were some of the most colourful figures in English folklore.
Okay.
So, the first, we have Little John, a towering man far taller than Robin himself.
Why was he called Little John?
I think it was just ironic. So, legends say that the two first met while crossing a narrow log bridge over a stream. Neither of the men stepped aside for each other. Instead, they fought with wooden staffs balancing above the water. Robin struck first, but soon realised his opponent was stronger. While one mighty swing from Little John knocked Robin straight into the river.
Oh wow.
But, right, rather than Robin growing angry or anything like that, he burst into laughter. Anyone that could defeat him so fairly was exactly the kind of man he wanted by his side.
That's fair enough. I'd be the same, to be honest.
I know. Like, I just love how that's how the friendship started. They were both just too stubborn. And they became inseparable after that.
That's pretty cute.
So when I always hear of Robin Hood, there's always Little John. You can tell that them two must have been like besties.
Like Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Peanut butter to his jelly.
Oh. So there are some of this that I've not heard. So I've not heard of this companion that he had. So that was a new thing that I learned. So another one of his companions was Will Scarlet, known for his fine clothes and fiery temper. He had once lived among nobles, but turned against the corrupt lords who ruled the lands.
Okay.
Then there was Friar Tuck, a roguish monk who loved good food, strong drink, and a good fight just as much as he loved to pray. Together with many others, they formed a band unlike any England had seen before. So, Robin and his merry men, which is what they called themselves, did not simply hide in the forest. They watched the roads, rich merchants, tax collectors, and corrupt nobles travelling through Sherwood Forest often found themselves suddenly surrounded by laughing outlaws in green cloaks. Robin would step forward politely. Sometimes he would even invite them to dine in the forest before relieving them of all their gold.
Relieving them, I like that.
It sounds less harsh, doesn't it?
Yeah. Stealing? No. Let me relieve you of that gold.
We're doing you a favour here. The wealth they took did not stay with them for long. Much of it found its way back to the village, given to struggling farmers, widows, and families crushed by taxes. Because of this, Robin became known for the simple idea: steal from the rich and give to the poor. And the common people loved him for it.
So, since I don't really know much about Robin Hood, only the basics.
And what I have just informed you about.
Yeah, but when looking into it, I obviously only knew what everyone knows, which is he steals from the rich, gives to the poor. So I found a few stories sort of relating to that if you want to hear them.
I would love to.
Amazing. So the first one is based on a man called Salvatore Giuliano, was born in a rural Sicily in 1922, the son of a peasant farmers. When his older brother was drafted into the Italian military in 1935, Giuliano left school to help his father work the land. As he grew older, he began trading food on the black market, an increasingly common practice during the shortages of the era. One day, two police officers confronted him about the source of his grain. The encounter turned violent. Giuliano shot and wounded one of the officers, then fled into the mountains. From that moment on, he committed fully to a life outside the law. Depending on which account you believe, Giuliano went on to build a bandit force that ranged anywhere from 50 to 600 men. Over the next decade, more than 100 police officers were killed in clashes with the group, and around 30 wealthy individuals were kidnapped for ransom. Giuliano himself amassed more than $1 million, becoming both a folk hero to some and a menace to others. He targeted the rich and the state targeted him in return. Eventually, the government deployed 2,000 men across Sicily to hunt him down. In 1950, they finally located him, and Giuliano was executed on the spot.
Aww. So he was just doing all that for his family?
Yeah, it started off him trying to help his family not be as poor as they were, but it just it just took a turn.
Honestly, it's kind of like a sped up version of Robin Hood
Yeah,
in the sense. Like,
yeah.
I only say that because I know how this ends,
Oh god,
and it's sad.
spoiler, I guess.
Sorry.
So I also wanted to tell you about a woman I actually seen on my TikTok quite a lot. And I think she is a good definition of modern Robin Hood,
Okay.
only because she uses social media to help those less fortunate. So she's called Questioning the Cubicle on TikTok. And what she does is she has people just comment random things on her TikTok. So she will ask you, what's your favorite color? What did you eat for lunch? What snacks is your favorite? And then based on that, she'll pick a few people and you don't have to do anything else. She will use her skills as a hacker to hack into a billionaire's or millionaire's account and pay off your debts.
Surely that can't be real.
Apparently, people are saying that it is, yeah.
Like, that's amazing that she's helping other people, and yes, that's very much robbing from the rich and giving to the poor.
Yeah, well, she says, like, they have all the money they need, and they have more than what they need, so why not help the people that are less fortunate and can't afford to pay off the debts?
Wow,
And she pays off big debts as well, like house mortgages, car loans, student loans, medical bills.
I think that's really good, but don't the millionaires and really rich people notice?
Apparently, because of how much money they have, they don't even notice. Obviously, I don't know if this is true. I've not tried it myself because
What, hacking?
Commenting, because like at the end of the day, I'm not. I'm comfortable enough to continue the payments for my loans. But yeah, if it's true, I'm happy with it. I mean, most billionaires, if not all, made their billions by not playing fair anyway. So what comes up must go down, I guess.
Affairs.
Yeah.
Well, I think that goes kind of in with the sheriff's endless hunt
Ooh,
of
okay.
Robin Hood. So, as you can probably guess, the Sheriff of Nottingham hated Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah.
The sheriff saw Robin Hood not as a hero, but as a criminal. He sent soldiers into Sherwood Forest again and again, but the forest protected Robin Hood. His men knew every hidden path, every stream crossing, every tree hollowed large enough to hide supplies and people. The sheriff's soldiers would march in and return empty handed every time. So, one of the sheriff's clever schemes that he made up was a archery contest he held in Sherwood Forest, and the prize was a magnificent golden arrow. So I'm guessing with this one, you can tell with how Robin Hood made friends with Little John. Obviously, they was both too proud.
Yeah.
And how he got into the trouble in the first place was he took a deal by saying, "Of course I can hit a deer."
Yeah.
He knew that he shouldn't have, but he had so much pride and confidence in his skill that he was the best archer. So the sheriff suspected that no archer in England could resist such a prize, especially Robin. So disgusted as a beggar, so disgusted, not disgusted. So Robin Hood disguised himself as a beggar and entered the competition. The best archer from across the lands competed. One by one, they shot their arrows. Then Robin Hood stepped forward. He fired his arrow straight into the center of the target. Then he did something astonishing. He shot another arrow, splitting the first one in two, and the crowd erupted in cheers. So it's safe to say that Robin had won.
Yeah.
But before the sheriff's guards could seize him, Robin vanished into the crowds, disappearing back into the forest.
How frustrating would you be?
You'd be so angry. So I don't even think he did it to get the prize.
No.
He don't say that he ever claimed it. I think he just wanted to prove that he was the best at what he did.
Yeah.
And firing 2 arrows at the exact same place to cut one in two, like, skillful, man.
Very, yeah.
So have you ever heard of Maid Marian?
So I've seen, like I told you, I've seen clips on TikTok of the cartoon version, and I've seen a clip of her, but I know nothing of her.
So Maid Marian, basically they was together. They loved each other.
Aww.
So I'll tell you more about Maid Marian then. Amongst the many figures tied to Robin's legend is Maid Marian. In many versions of the story, Marian was a noble woman who knew Robin before he became an outlaw. She admired his courage and his sense of justice. Rather than fearing him, she secretly supported him. In the tale, she even disguised herself and rode into the forest to join him for a time.
Aww. She likes a bad boy.
She does like a bad boy. So, Maid Marian represents something important in the legend. Someone from the world of nobles who sees the corruption in the power and chooses to side with the people. So, that's what that was. So, yeah.
It's pretty interesting, though. I know people are like really good storytellers and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like it might be best in a real story.
Well, this is where the story takes a little bit of a turn.
Okay.
So, many versions of the story take place during the reign of King Richard I of England, while his brother, Prince John, ruled the country in his absence. Prince John and corrupt officials like the sheriff abused their power, seizing the land and the money. So that's why everything got through into ruin.
Yeah.
When King Richard eventually returned from war, some stories say he secretly travelled through Sherwood Forest disguised as a knight. There he met Robin and his band of merry men. Instead of punishing them, the king recognised their bravery and their cause. So he understood why they was doing it.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Like, can you imagine your country being all okay, your town absolutely fine, and then you come back from fighting and people are so poor that they can't even afford to eat.
I mean, I'm speechless now, but I can't even imagine what the king would have felt like.
Exactly.
Leaving in his son's hand,
His brothers.
his brother's hand.
So he recognized their courage and bravery. And in most stories, he pardons Robin, restoring his honor and bringing justice back to the land. So he took the throne back from his brother.
Okay, I like
He's like,
that.
nah, you can't rule this.
No.
Give it back. I'll sort it.
Yeah, I like that.
So I kind of like that version, that he pardons Robin and everything's fine. And basically it's a happy ever after story,
Yeah.
which I do like.
Is the other one not so happy?
Well, no, do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
So Robin's ending is mysterious. Some people say he lived peacefully after receiving the king's pardon. Others say he returned to the forest again and again, unable to abandon the life that he'd loved and felt so free in. A darker version tells that Robin was betrayed late in life by a woman who was meant to heal him, bleeding him too much during a medical treatment.
That's sad.
Do you want me to go into depth?
If you want to, yeah.
Yes. So I know that used to be a common practice, bloodletting.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Therefore, it gets rid of your whatever disease you have, right?
Yeah, they assumed that it got rid of bad blood. So your bad blood would come out, and then that'd be it.
Jesus.
And then you'd get better.
How did we even as a species survive this far?
I don't know, but I feel the same about pandas.
Oh yeah, definitely. They should not be alive. As much as I'm happy that they are alive. Jesus Christ.
Like, I love pandas. I think they're the cutest thing ever. But the amount of videos I watch, I'm like, how?
Oh God.
Okay. So, Robin began to feel weak and ill, whether it was fever, an infected wound, or just simple exhaustion from years of living as an outlaw. It's not clear.
Right.
In medieval times, one of the common medical treatments was bloodletting, a practice where a healer would deliberately drain blood from a patient, believing it would remove sickness from the body. Robin decided to travel to Kirkless,
Okay.
a religious house where a priestess was said to have the knowledge of healing. But this journey would be his last. So the woman who ruled the priory was known as the priestess of Kirtlis.
Okay.
Okay, in some versions of the story, she was secretly related to Robin, his cousin by blood. But in others, she simply hated the outlaw who embarrassed the most powerful men for years.
Yeah, I think the latter would make a bit more sense, wouldn't it?
Well, to be fair, I think they both tie in because at the start, they're not sure whether Robin was a noble that fell out of favour.
Oh yeah.
So even if his other family, was nobles, then yeah, she'd probably hold a grudge.
Yeah.
But if she was a priestess, she'd be high up in the
ladder, in the
ladder.
status. I don't know.
Status, that's it.
Yeah.
She'd be high up in the status. So either way, it kind of makes sense.
It does, yeah.
But Robin didn't know this. He just thought a priestess of healing, so he trusted her, and that was his mistake. He was taken into a quiet room where the bloodletting would take place. The priestess opened the vein in his arm and allowed the blood to flow into the basin.
Wow.
Normally, the healer would stop the bleeding after a short time.
Yeah.
But the priestess didn't. She left the room. Robin lay there alone. The blood kept flowing, weakening slowly. His body started to shut down.
That's a horrible way to go.
Isn't it? The room became colder, and Robin then began to realise the terrible truth. This was no healing, this was murder. Whether the priestess acted out of vengeance, loyalty to the sheriff, or simply fear of Robin's legend, it's not explained. The ballad only tells us that she locked the door and left him to die.
My God.
So when it says ballad, there's so many ballads, but I've never heard a song about it. Everything's stories, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
like people sing anymore about it, which I just think is really cool. People singing, they're like the stories, like a bard.
Yeah, I think Callum really likes that. You know, in The Witcher. What
The
is
bard
that?
in there.
Yeah. He loves them.
He's so good. He's my favourite character in that. And left him to die. Outside, the forest wind moved through the trees. Inside, England's greatest outlaw was fading. With the little strength Robin had left, he managed to reach the window. He took out his bow beside the bed and laid the arrow upon it. Summoning the last of his strength, he pulled the arrow back and fired it into the trees. Before he collapsed, he gave one final instruction. Wherever the arrow landed, that is where he wished to be buried.
That's sad. I didn't know it was this sad.
It's a sad. This is the darker version. You can always go with the he was pardoned and lived happily ever after with Maid
Yeah.
Marian.
Delusional.
But don't get too excited when I say but. So, not long after, Little John arrived at the priory.
Yeah.
Some stories say he had felt something was wrong. Others say Robin had sent a message asking for him to come. Little John forced his way inside and around his friend's dying body. In grief and rage, he begged Robin to let him burn the priory to the ground to take revenge, which I think every good friend should do.
Yep.
But Robin refused.
Ah.
Even at the end of his life, he did not want more blood spilled for his sake. Instead, he asked him, Little John, to honour his wish and bury him where the arrow had fell. Little John carried Robin's body to the place where the arrow landed. There, beneath the open sky and not far away from the edge of Sherwood Forest, he was buried, the greatest outlaw of England.
Oh.
Some stories say a simple stone was placed there. Others claim that the grave still stands somewhere near Kirtland's, though the true location has never been found.
Right, get your shovel. Let's go and find the mirrors.
We're just going to dig up everywhere.
Hello, my spooky witches. This is Agatha from the future. I'm just editing the podcast and I just wanted to put a little side note. After our little giggle fest about the shovel, we had to pause the podcast for a second, and without realizing, we started telling the story again. And it just doesn't give a break. So I just wanted to put a little side note saying that we're going back to the story now. I hope you enjoy. And we love you. Thank you.
These early medieval ballads or stories are darker than the heroic tales that we hear today because they were not written as fairy tales. They were songs of rebellion. Robin Hood in these stories was not always gentle. Sometimes he was ruthless. Sometimes people died in his ambushes. But the people singing these songs were poor villagers living under harsh laws. To them, Robin Hood represented something powerful, someone who could stand against authority and survive in the wild world beyond. And even though the legends say he died betrayed and alone, his story refuses to die. For centuries afterwards, travellers passing through Sherwood Forest still talk about these stories. And if you listen close enough to the old oak trees, you might hear the echo of the bowstring, or see a green cloaked figure watching by the road, waiting for injustice to appear.
We should take a Ouija board to the Sherwood Forest.
A Ouija board. Yeah. You go first and I'll be there later.
We should take your mom. She knows that better than us.
Oh, you don't mess with Ouija boards.
Yeah. Spirit box, but they're mean.
I find them quite charming.
Right. Again, that prison that I mentioned earlier, Marie, which is Alana's mum, took out a spirit box whilst we were there. We got very different reactions, like to each of us. Marie got called mummy a lot. I got called fat, broke, and ugly. And Alana got called fit.
Back in the day, I could pull any ghost.
Hey, I'm big. That means I'm rich back in the day.
Yeah, I'm a poor peasant.
At least you're pretty.
In the dark. If you squint.
Right. I've got another story if you want to hear it.
I would love to hear it.
So the story begins. Phulan Devi, later immortalized as India's bandit queen, was still a young girl when she was drawn into the world of dacoits, armed bandit gangs that roamed the rural heartlands. With her lover, Vikram Mala, she embraced banditry as a form of resistance against the crushing economic and castle inequalities of poor colonial India. Their methods were undeniably violent, yet they claimed inspiration from both the fierce goddess Durga and the moral teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, framing the rebellion as a fighting against systematic injustice. At just 18, Pula was kidnapped by a rival gang, held for weeks, and subjected to repeated sexual abuse. During this ordeal, Vikram was murdered, leaving her traumatized and burning for retribution. On Valentine's Day in 1981, she carried out the act that would define her legend. Leading her gang into the village of Bahami, she dragged around 30 high status men from their homes and ordered her men to open fire. 22 were killed. The massacre sent shockwaves across India and cemented her reputation as both a feared outlaw and a symbol of vengeance. In the years that followed, she continued to target powerful men known for abusing children or exploiting the poor. Eventually, she negotiated her own surrender on the condition that her parents received land and her brother was given a job. When she finally turned herself in, a crowd of 8,000 people gathered to cheer her on. Too many lower class citizens, she was not a criminal but a champion. After serving 11 years in prison, Prahlad Devi was released. In a remarkable turn of fate, she went on to be elected to the Indian Parliament, transforming from outlaw to lawmaker.
She sounds badass.
Right, I really liked it. It was a difficult read, but I really wanted to tell you the story.
No, I really like that story. I think that's one of my favourites.
Yeah, same.
So, I actually did a little story about Robin Hood as well.
Okay.
Like a ghost story type of thing.
Ooh, okay.
As you can tell, I was really into this Robin Hood one.
I like that.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. One cold evening in Sherwood Forest, Robin and his merry men were watching the road, as they often did, waiting for wealthy travellers who might be persuaded to share their gold.
Okay.
I don't think there was any sharing involved.
No.
So, the forest was unusually quiet that night. Even the birds had stopped singing. A thin mist hung between the ancient oak trees, and the moon drifted behind the clouds. Little John sat beside Robin, sharpening an arrow while suddenly he heard something. Hoofbeats, slow, heavy, but strangely hollow. Through the mist emerged a lone rider dressed in dark armor. His cloak moved in the wind, but the man himself seemed strangely still, like a statue riding through the trees. Robin stepped into the road and raised his hand. "Good evening, traveller," he said. "You ride through Sherwood Forest, and by our customs you must dine with us before continuing your journey." The rider stopped, but he did not move. He simply stared. The knight dismounted slowly. The strange thing was that his armor looked old, ancient even. Rust clung to the metal as if it had not been polished in years. Robin approached him with his usual bold smile. "Sir Knight," Robin said, "you look as though you've travelled a long road. Come sit with us and share a meal." Still the knight did not answer. Little John leaned closer and whispered, "Robin, have you noticed something strange?" Robin looked closer. The knight's horse was breathing, but the knight himself was not.
Okay.
Okay. The merry men brought the knight to their camp and placed food before him: bread, roasted venison, and ale. The knight slowly removed his helmet. His face was pale, not just tired, but pale like stone. Robin asked the usual questions he asked all other travellers. "Sir Knight, how much money do you carry?" The knight simply spoke. His voice was low and hollow, as though it had travelled a long distance before reaching them. "I carry none." Robin laughed. "Then you must be the poorest knight in England." The knight stared into the fire. "I once had land," he said quietly. "I once had honour, but they was all taken from me." The knight began to tell the story. Long ago he had been a nobleman with land and power, but he had fallen into debt with greedy lords and corrupt officials. Piece by piece, everything had been taken from him: his land, his castle, his title, even his family. Robin listened carefully. Stories of injustice stirred something beneath deep inside him. When the knight finished speaking, Robin stood and said, "If what you say is true, then tonight you will not leave Sherwood Forest empty-handed." Robin gathered a large sum of silver from the merry men's stores and gave it to the knight. "Take this," Robin said. "Pay your debts and reclaim what was stolen from you." The knight accepted the money, but something about the way he moved sent chills through the camp. Before leaving, the knight turned to Robin. "Your kindness will not be forgotten." Then he mounted his horse and rode into the mist. The strange part was how quickly he vanished. The road stretched long and straight through the trees, yet only a few seconds after disappearing into the fog, the sound of hoofbeats stopped completely. Little John frowned. That horse did not ride far enough to disappear. Robin felt something strange, uneasy. The forest had grown silent again. Months later, a rumour spread through the village. A ruined estate far to the north had suddenly been reclaimed. A knight had returned with money to repay his debts and restore his land. But the villagers claimed something strange. They said the knight who returned looked exactly like the lord who had died years before.
Wow.
Some swore his grave had never been opened. Others said his spirit had wandered the land seeking justice until somebody had helped him. And that somebody was Robin Hood. Stories like this were common in medieval England. The forest was vast and dark, and people believed spirits walked the land alongside the living. To the people telling the stories, the message was clear. Robin Hood's kindness was so powerful that even a restless spirit might return to thank him.
That gave me chills.
I liked that one when I was reading it.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Okay, so that's all I have on Robin Hood. What crystals have you got today?
So I thought I'll tell you about 2 crystals and what they do together, pretty much.
Okay.
So the first one is called Fairy Forest Epidote.
Okay.
The epidote is great at healing, and it's an abundance stone. It can help you with weight loss, which I thought was pretty cool. I might get that myself. And it brings wealth and luck into your life.
Okay. To be fair, I might get that for weight loss as well.
Yeah. The next one is clear quartz, and it's the most popular one, so people probably know about it already. It's a master healer that can help amplify the effects of other crystals, which is what we're aiming for with the fairy forest. It promotes mental clarity and calmness and relieves pain and tension. So when you put the 2 crystals together, the epidote and the clear quartz, God, that's a mouthful. So the 2 crystals together create a synergistic effect that can help you stay focused, energized, and healthy. Whether you're facing a big project at work or just need a little extra boost to get through the day, this tag team has got your back. I thought, if Robin Hood were to carry crystals with him, this combination would probably be the best one for him.
Well, to be fair, he does need a clear mind.
Definitely. I mean, he's quick-witted, right? So having a clear mind probably helps him with that.
I can imagine he was very quick-witted and very charming as well. I suppose you would be you'd have to be quite charming to rob everybody.
Yeah.
And invite them to dinner first.
Okay, let's get the tarot reading. So, we've done that just off the recording because we were having some trouble with our new mics. But we pulled out 3 cards and asked them to show us what the viewers have to hear for the week. And I pulled out the Empress upside down, Ace of Pentacles, and upside down Knight of Pentacles. So just to tell you what this brings for your week, this combination suggests a period of stalled potential, financial frustration, and lack of nurturing. The Empress reverse indicates blocked creativity and dependency, paired with a missed or ungrounded opportunity, and a slow or lazy approach to fixing it. It calls for addressing insecurity and taking responsibility. It's a bit harsh.
I know, I thought they would be nicer since they're my tarot cards instead of yours, but
maybe someone just needed to hear it.
But if it resonates, then take it. If it doesn't, let it pass by. And I think that wraps up our podcast for this week.
I think so too.
So, again, thank you so much for listening.
We hope you enjoyed. If you want to leave us a comment or if you want to get in contact about any future topics you want us to cover, we'll be more than happy to hear from you.
Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.
Bye!